Next performer tonight, and this should tell you everything you need to know about him. So I had the pleasure of acting in a play that was adapted from one of his short stories. And as nearly as I could figure out, and I worked on this for a while, my character arc is that I was a bearded hippie who got with psychic powers. I left that part out. That's important. That's critical to this. Who got sucked into another dimension and strangled to death by an alien who possessed a military officer. I want to be clear that this is my understanding of what happened to my character. This may not be the actual story. Please welcome to the stage the creator of this character arc, Pat Harrigan.
Over the course of my long and illustrious career, I have met many interesting people, some of whom have become close friends and colleagues, and some of whom who have not. A current example comes from a letter forwarded to me last week by my publicist, which was written in response to my October 2014 London Review of Books article, The Poet in Discord, Esoteric Bullshit in the Later Work of W.B. Yeats. The letter begins in this way. Dear Sir, they say that living well is the best revenge. But for my part, I believe that murdering the people who make you unhappy, along with their families, is the best revenge. I can see that this is a minority opinion. Were I to have killed every man who has offended me, no doubt I would currently be imprisoned and would remain so until the end of my days, if I had not already been righteously struck down by the agents of a horrified society. How I long to hear the words, or words to the effect of, "For the love of God, Montresor," gasped or hissed in my direction as I mortar into place the final brick, for a last glimpse of the offending and uncomprehending eyes, many, many of these eyes, as I shut them away forever. As Blake in his wisdom says, "Sooner murder an infant in its cradle than nurse unacted desire." But my physical life, such as it is, has as yet been acted only as nursemaid, frustrated, virginal, barren, dry, and milkless nursemaid, to all manner of unacted desire. But my psychic life, oh, you shall know it. I have mastered the most potent of the satanic arts, and I now bring my focus onto you who have mocked and belittled the prophets of belief. At this point, I began to grow a bit concerned. Notwithstanding the apposite reference to Poe's Cask of Amontillado and the intriguing non-standard reading of the line from Blake, both of which I would normally endorse, I did not approve of the direction this seemed to be heading. The writer continues, "I was just a callow young man when I was first introduced to the illuminated mysteries and began to read with bounteous intensity of the Aklo Sabaoth. From exalted masters in shadowy covens and BBS chat rooms, I was exposed to the innermost mysteries of Thelema and the syncretic doctrines of equinoctial magic. The spirit Ahania moved within me, and I knew as the outsider knew in gazing into the mirror the purest image of my own soul. I grew to loathe the entrapments of Lutha's veil, from whose bourne no traveler returns, and devoted myself to the shining of the light into the omnivorous parasitical void." I confess I had to Google some of this. I recognized the quotation from Shakespeare, but the paragraph also contains a dense number of references to Lovecraft, Crowley, Arthur Machen, and again, Blake. Ahania is Blake's figure for wisdom and discovery, hence the aha. Lutha is an obscure character possibly representing sexual sin. Lutha's veil in this context might thus be the female genitalia, a supposition strengthened by the reference to the omnivorous parasitical void, a term associated with the comic book writer and wacky sexist Dave Sim, the meaning of which I'm sure you can guess. Notably absent is any reference to Yeats or his personal mystical system, which leads me to believe that the letter writer is not actually familiar with them, and has taken the occasion of my article simply to grandstand. In the end, as with much occult language, unpacked of its obscurantist terms, we are left with little solid except the suggestion of autodidacticism and the usual worrying misogyny. From here, things got somewhat more alarming. Because you are an enemy of the sons of Bromion, that's Blake again, by the way, Bromion is a rapist, I curse you and bedevil you. I walked 13 times around the library, I spilled my seed across your books, In sand I draw your image, in stone I carve it. On the darkling shore I drown your parents, in the deep well I suffocate your children. You are pricked by thorns, you lie down in dust, you will find no succor in the shade of the ash tree, and die will you there. There then follows a long quotation from Deuteronomy 28 of refreshingly better rhetorical value, which ends with this remarkable passage. The most refined and fastidious of your women will scowl at the husband whom she embraces, and at her son and daughter, and at the afterbirth when it leaves her womb, and at the child to which she has given birth. She will hide away and eat them. So complete will be the starvation resulting from the siege and the distress to which your enemy will reduce you in all your towns. Finally, after calling me a subliterate Rosicrucian mangina, a few paragraphs of puzzling stuff about Gamergate that I won't repeat, he sums up with the name Lord Theotormon Satanus. Now, say what you like about my theories on Irish modernism. This is going a bit far. Even Christopher Hitchens never wrote a review like this. And while I certainly don't appreciate the threats of violence against my loved ones, nor the attempt to silence me by inducing a state of spiritual fear, nor its general irrelevance to the topic at hand, what I really object to is the appropriation of poor old William Blake, whose ideas of sexual and political freedom and the equality of women were revolutionary for his time, and who deserves better than to be dragged into this idiosyncratic and reactionary sub-Golden Dawn occult matchup. Accordingly, and as I make it a point to respond to every one of my fans, I have mailed Mr. Satanus a copy of Northrop Frye's pioneering 1947 study of Blake, Fearful Symmetry, along with a restraining order, and a parchment inscribed with a moon goddess invoking protective counterspell provided by some sympathetic Wiccan friends and drawn in their menstrual blood. It is my hope that my learned correspondent will channel his considerable enthusiasm into more appropriate areas, such as self-harm or the cantos of Ezra Pound. Sir, if you are in the audience tonight, I am armed. Thank you.
Misogyny to be the hashtag by which we all refer to Dave Sim.
Heard it here first.
If I had meme-making power, I would make that meme.